The story begins with a team of hunters in a dense forest. They had killed many animals and planned to skin them and sell the hides in the city. They were preparing to leave, packing the animal skins, when the tribal people of the forest suddenly attacked and surrounded them. The tribesmen, furious and united, unleashed a rain of arrows, killing many hunters on the spot. They believed the hunters had kidnapped the chief's daughter, which is why they launched this deadly assault. The hunters tried to defend themselves, but the tribal warriors were far greater in number. Unable to resist such a large force, many hunters lost their lives within minutes. The captain of the hunting team quickly realized that if they continued fighting, none of them would survive. He shouted at his men to gather as many skins as they could and rush towards the boat. Here, the film's main character, Glass, goes to his son and tells him to hurry and reach the boat safely. Just then, they spot another large group of tribal warriors approaching from the trees. Seeing this overwhelming force, the hunters abandon their belongings and run desperately to save their lives. Many more men are killed while trying to escape. Only a few manage to reach the boat and push off into the river. After they flee, the tribesmen collect all the skins left behind. The tribe's leader searches everywhere but fails to find his missing daughter. He orders his men to gather all the hides left by the Americans. He plans to sell these skins to French hunters in exchange for horses and guns, and then continue searching for his daughter until he finds her. Meanwhile, the American hunters who escaped on the boat remain tense and alert. Even after traveling a long distance, they keep their guns drawn, knowing the tribesmen might attack again. They are now confused about which direction to take. The captain turns to Glass and asks what they should do next. Glass tells him that they must abandon the boat and travel through the land route. He explains that the tribal people can follow the river easily and catch up quickly, so the forest path is safer. However, one man in the group, Gerald, strongly disagrees with Glass. He argues that the land route is too long and dangerous, and they will be killed before they ever reach home. But the captain trusts Glass, who knows the land better than anyone, and decides to follow his plan. Gerald reluctantly agrees, though several others still refuse to go by land. Those who disagree stay in the boat and travel down the river, while the rest get off and prepare for the forest journey. The captain then instructs everyone on land to leave the animal skins behind so they can travel faster. Everyone agrees and hides the skins under heavy rocks, hoping to retrieve them someday if they return. With no other option left, they begin their long and dangerous journey through the hostile wilderness. But their difficulties were about to increase as winter was approaching, and they would have to walk for weeks to reach their homes. They had no other option, so they prepared themselves to face the cold. Evening approached as they continued their journey through the forest, and they decided to stop at a spot to rest for the night. Night fell, and the entire group went to sleep in the forest. The next morning, we see that the men who had mistakenly taken the dangerous path began regretting their decision. The tribal warriors arrived and killed them, realizing that some members of the hunting party had escaped through the forest. The tribal leader ordered his men to spread out and search every corner of the woods. One of the tribesmen discovered the footprints of the American hunters. He informed the tribe leader, who believed his missing daughter might be with them. Following this clue, the entire group of tribesmen began tracking the hunters' trail. Hours passed as the American hunters walked through the dense forest, exhausted and weakened. They finally stopped to rest and set up camp. Everyone was hungry, but there was no food available, so Glass decided to go deep into the forest alone in search of prey. After walking for some time, Glass sensed movement nearby. He raised his gun cautiously, only to see two small bear cubs. Before he could back away, their mother, a massive bear, suddenly charged at him. The bear attacked fiercely, knocking the weapon out of Glass's hands and throwing him across the ground. Glass had no strength left to fight. He lay helpless as the bear mauled him repeatedly. After a while, the bear calmed down and began to walk away. Glass slowly reached for his gun, hoping to defend himself. But before he could aim, the bear turned and charged again. Glass fired quickly, but the bullet struck the bear's throat instead of its head. The wound made the bear even more violent, and it slashed Glass's neck with its claws. The bear continued its brutal attack, biting into Glass's flesh and tearing deep wounds across his body. Despite being severely injured, Glass managed to pull out his knife. Summoning the last of his strength, he stabbed the bear repeatedly. The struggle sent both of them rolling down a slope until the bear collapsed on top of him. The bear died, but Glass was barely alive. His throat was torn open, his body covered in deep wounds, and he was in unbearable pain. The sound of the gunshot reached his companions, who rushed into the forest to investigate. They discovered the huge bear lying over Glass's body. With great effort, they pulled the bear away and carried Glass back to camp. One of the men immediately began dressing his wounds, but the injuries were severe. His throat was slashed, and his entire body was shredded by claw marks. Seeing the condition Glass was in, the hunters believed he wouldn't survive long and might die within hours. Meanwhile, the tribal leader traded the animal skins, the ones taken from the American hunters, to the French hunters in exchange for their horses and guns. This deal increased the danger for Glass and his group, as the tribes now had better weapons and were determined to find the chief's missing daughter. Previously, these tribes attacked only with bows and arrows. Now, the tribesmen also had horses and guns. Due to his severe injuries, Glass was unable to walk, so they built a wooden stretcher for him. They placed him on it and continued moving forward. Each person took turns carrying him. They traveled a long distance like this, but the path ahead became extremely difficult as they had to climb a steep mountain. The mountain trail was so rough that even a healthy man could barely climb it. Taking Glass up the mountain was nearly impossible. They tried again, but they failed. The captain then ordered one of the men to cover Glass's mouth. He was actually preparing to shoot Glass, believing he was suffering too much and could not survive. Glass was in unbearable pain, and taking him home looked impossible. The captain raised his gun, but Glass's son suddenly arrived and stopped him. Seeing the boy, the captain felt pity. He could not bring himself to kill Glass because Glass had saved all their lives earlier. The captain then announced that any two people who stayed with Glass until his death would be rewarded with $100 when they returned to the village. He said Glass had helped them all, and he wanted Glass to die naturally. After Glass died, the two men would bury him and return. Glass's son, Hawk, immediately said he would stay. Another boy, Fraser, stepped forward and said he would remain as well, even without the reward. Both were young, so the captain insisted that an older man should stay with them. Gerald stepped up and said he would stay, but only if the reward was increased. The captain agreed to give him his share. Hawk and Fraser also offered their shares. Gerald accepted and said $300 was enough, as he could buy a house with it, and Glass would not survive more than 2 or 3 days anyway. The three of them stayed with Glass while the rest of the group moved on. Gerald sat beside Glass, waiting for him to die, but Glass refused to give up. The next morning, Hawk and Fraser went into the forest to hunt for food and bring water. Meanwhile, Gerald began digging a shallow pit nearby. But why was he digging it? Was he planning to bury Glass alive? That answer would come later. Hours passed. Gerald grew frustrated seeing that Glass was still alive. He angrily approached him and said, "Why don't you die? We will all be killed because of you. The tribesmen are still searching everywhere, and if they find us here, we won't survive. You can save your son's life, and ours, if you stop fighting and let go." Gerald then told Glass to blink if he agreed to die. Glass tried hard not to blink, but Gerald continued provoking him, saying that he clearly did not care about saving his son. Hearing this, Glass tried to hold on, but the pain overwhelmed him. He finally blinked. Seeing this, Gerald stuffs a cloth into Glass's mouth, choking him. Glass is now writhing in agony. Just then, Glass's son arrives and pushes Gerald back with a gun. He points the weapon at Gerald and threatens to kill him. Gerald tries to explain his actions, but Glass's son doesn't listen and begins screaming. Then right in front of Glass, Gerald stabs his son in the stomach, killing him. Glass's throat has been completely slit, so he can't even cry out. He can only watch as his son dies. Gerald lifts Glass's body and hides him in a distant place, making sure he won't be seen when the third boy arrives. A little while later, the boy comes and asks Gerald where Hawk is. Gerald lies, saying Hawk must be nearby and that he'll return soon. Poor Glass tries to warn the boy, whose name is Bruiser, that Gerald killed his son, but he cannot speak. Night falls and Gerald and Bruiser fall asleep. The next morning, Gerald wakes Bruiser and lies, saying, "I saw 20 tribal people approaching. If they reach us, they'll tear us apart." Terrified, Bruiser asks, "What will happen to Glass and Hawk if we leave?" Gerald replies, "If Hawk is alive, he'll find us." The boy protests, "Glass is still alive, and we promised the captain that after Glass's death, we'd conduct full funeral rites and leave." Hearing this, Gerald grabs Glass by the legs and drags him violently. Glass's body is covered in wounds and he screams in pain. Gerald places Glass, still alive, into the grave he dug the day before and begins covering it with soil. The boy asks, "What are you doing?" Gerald replies, "He'll die sooner or later, and as we promised, his funeral will follow full rituals. I fulfilled my promise." He pours soil over Glass and tells the boy to come with him. Bruiser is deeply saddened by Glass's condition. He says, "Sorry, Mr. Glass, I have to go." He places a bottle of water on top of Glass and leaves. Now Glass is alone, suffering. He lies for hours in the grave, half dead, thinking, "If I'm going to die here anyway, why not try to escape?" He summons all his strength, moves his arms and legs, and after great effort climbs out of the grave. Glass is in immense pain. He crawls to the spot where his son's body lies. Seeing his son dead, he is utterly devastated and consumed by a fire of revenge. He rests his head on his son's body and falls asleep. In the morning, Gerald wakes Bruiser and says, "Get up quickly, we have to leave. 12 men from the tribe are after us." Bruiser replies, "You said 20 men were after us." He realizes Gerald lied and pulls a gun on him. Gerald calmly says, "You should thank me. I saved your life. I had to scare you because we couldn't risk our lives with a half-dead man. Glass was about to die anyway. If you want to survive, you must follow my orders. Otherwise, you can go back to Glass alone." Hearing this, the terrified Bruiser agrees to Gerald's suggestion and moves on with him. Meanwhile, Glass is at the same spot, and now he is hungry. He crawls to a place where an animal's skull lies. He breaks a bone and eats the dried flesh. Then he crawls to the edge of a hill and sees a river below. Glass is now thirsty as well. With great difficulty, he crawls to the riverbank and tries to drink water, but when he does, the water flows out of his neck because it was cut. Glass realizes he must first treat his wounds. He has only a little gunpowder left. He gathers dry grass, lights a fire, and pours some gunpowder on the part of his neck where his throat was cut. He then applies a piece of burnt wood to his neck. The wood ignites the gunpowder, creating a spark that burns his neck. He does this to help his burns heal. During this time, Glass experiences immense pain and often faints. He spends several days on the riverbank, surviving by drinking water and eating dead animals. One day, the tribal members arrive at the riverbank. Before they can see him, Glass quickly jumps into the river. He swims far away from the tribal members. After spending time in the icy cold water, Glass is severely affected by the cold. He manages to swim with great difficulty. He lights a fire to warm his body and decides to stay there. Glass spends several days in this condition. His wounds heal and he is able to walk a little. Living on the riverbank, he has no shortage of water, but full meals are hard to come by. He survives by catching fish from the river and eating it raw. One night, while sleeping, he sees flames in the distance. When he goes to the spot, he finds a man who has just caught a large animal and is eating it. Glass approaches him and immediately aims his bow and arrow. He signals, "I am not a threat, I just want food." The man understands and gives Glass a piece of the meat. They both sleep there for the rest of the night. The next morning, when the man sees Glass's wounds, he asks, "What happened to you?" Glass explains, "I was hunting with my team and a wild bear left me in this condition. My companions then left me to die in the forest, and they also killed my son." Hearing this, the man feels very sorry for Glass. He says, "My entire family was also killed by French hunters." The man becomes emotional, but adds that he does not want to take revenge on the French because revenge is in God's hands. Looking at Glass's wounds, he says, "You can travel with me." After this, they continue their journey together on horseback. Meanwhile, Gerald and Bruiser reach very close to their village. Before entering, Gerald tells Bruiser that no one must know what they did. He warns Bruiser that if the truth comes out, the captain will punish them severely. Bruiser, forced to agree, reluctantly does so. Gerald and the boy go to the captain. Gerald tells him that they stayed with Glass until his last breath. They gave him a proper funeral, and Glass's son was captured by the tribesmen, but they escaped with their lives. Hearing this, the captain gives them both $100 as promised. However, the boy leaves without taking the money. Gerald takes the boy's share and explains that the boy is traumatized by the events of the journey. That is why he refuses the money. Gerald leaves as well. Meanwhile, Glass continues traveling through the snow with the man. Suddenly, a blizzard begins. Glass is ill and his wounds are festering, causing him to faint. The man builds a small wooden hut for Glass. He strips Glass of all his clothes, places him inside the hut, covers him, and lights a fire outside to keep him warm. The night passes in this way. The next morning, Glass wakes up and looks around, but the man is nowhere to be seen. As he walks a little further, he sees that the man has been hanged from a tree. A short distance away, Glass spots French hunters. He realizes these are the men who hanged the man. Glass reaches his horses and sees a French hunter attacking a girl. The girl turns out to be the daughter of a tribal chief. These are the same French hunters from whom the tribal chief had exchanged horses and guns for hides. They had also kidnapped the chief's daughter. The tribal chief, however, believed that American hunters were responsible. Glass sneaks up from behind and kills the man who was attacking the chief's daughter, freeing her. He quickly mounts a horse, unties the other horses, and fires a gun, causing the French to flee. In their panic, they drop Glass's water bottle. After escaping, Glass spends the night under a tree. The next morning, he sees the tribesmen closing in. He mounts his horse and starts running, but the tribesmen are very close. He shoots a few tribesmen and accelerates. Soon, he reaches a mountain with a deep ravine below. Glass can't stop because the tribesmen will kill him. He throws himself and his horse over the ravine, crashing into a tree and falling into the snow. The horse falls onto the rocks below and dies. Glass survives because he hits a tree and lands on a thick layer of snow. However, his condition worsens. A strong storm hits and the cold intensifies. If Glass doesn't find shelter, he will freeze to death. To protect himself, Glass cuts open the horse's stomach, removes its organs, and crawls inside. He spends the night inside the horse's body, knowing that staying outside would mean certain death. In the morning, Glass wakes to find the weather has returned to normal. He continues his journey, exhausted but alive. Meanwhile, a French hunter arrives at the location where Glass is supposed to be traveling. He asks the American hunters for help, and they bring him in. The captain asks him, "What happened?" The man explains that someone came, killed their captain, and freed all their horses. This man was actually referring to Glass. The man who attacked the chieftain's daughter was the captain of the French hunters. The man explains that after the horses were freed, their entire team disintegrated. Some died from the cold, while others were killed by the chains. As evidence, the man shows some of his companions' belongings. He reveals a water bottle, saying that the man who killed their captain dropped it while leaving. Bruiser replies, "It's the glass bottle I gave him." They ask the man where Glass killed their captain. He tells them the location is 30 miles away. Captain Razor and some men set off on horseback to find Glass. Gerald realizes he is about to be trapped. After several hours of travel, night falls. They reach the spot where the man found the bottle. The captain orders everyone to search for Glass everywhere. Then they see a man in the distance. As they approach him, they realize it is Glass. The captain is shocked because Gerald had told him that Glass was dead. The captain approaches Glass and asks what happened. Glass tells him the truth. The captain rushes back to his village to find Gerald, but Gerald has stolen all the money from the safe and fled. The captain angrily beats Bruiser and orders his men to arrest him. Glass intervenes, telling the captain that Bruiser is not at fault. He knows nothing about what happened husband, so the captain should let him go. The captain decides to pursue Gerald, who murdered Glass's son and stole the money. Glass offers to go with him. The captain insists, "No, you need rest. I'll go alone." Glass replies, "No, I've traveled too far for him. I'll kill him myself." The captain agrees, and the two set off on horseback to find Gerald. They follow the footprints of Gerald's horse. After a considerable distance, they reach a point where the paths diverge. The captain tells Glass to take the right path while he takes the left. They separate. While the captain searches for Gerald, Gerald emerges from behind a large rock and holds him at gunpoint. He says, "Captain, what are you doing here?" The captain replies, "You're accused of murder. Come with me." Gerald refuses. Just as the captain reaches for his gun, Gerald shoots him, killing him. Hearing the gunshot, Glass rushes over and sees the captain's body lying there. Gerald has already fled. Acting quickly, Glass breaks a large branch and places it on the captain's back, straightening his posture. He then places the captain on a horse. Glass lies down behind him on the horse like a corpse, so that Gerald believes the one in front is Glass, and the one behind is the captain's dead body. Seeing the horses, Gerald assumes the same. He shoots the man in front and the man falls immediately. Gerald is overjoyed, believing Glass is dead as well. He slowly approaches the fallen body. When he reaches it and turns it over, he realizes it is not Glass, but the captain. Before Gerald can react, Glass rises from the horse behind him and shoots Gerald. The bullet hits Gerald in the shoulder, forcing him to flee. Glass gives chase. The pursuit ends at a riverbank where a fierce fight takes place. Both of them are severely injured. Suddenly, the tribesmen arrive from across the river, intent on killing them. Just as Glass is about to kill Gerald, he remembers the man who once gave him food and was later killed by the French. The man had told Glass that instead of seeking revenge on those who wrong another, one should leave it to God. Glass decides to follow this advice. He throws Gerald into the river and leaves him. Floating down the river, Gerald reaches the other side. There, the tribesmen catch him and kill him. They cross the river and approach Glass. They do not speak to him and leave him where he is. In reality, the tribe's leader has found his daughter, the same girl Glass once saved from being attacked by the French. The girl tells her father about Glass, saying, "He saved my life." Because of this, they leave Glass unharmed. The story ends here. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our channel and like the video.